So we'll call this meeting to order. Ladies, we're called to order. First thing on, this is a very abbreviated agenda. I want you to know tonight. We have time for public comment, of course, and then we have a covenant release, and then we have planning board discussion. So this might go very, very quickly. We'll see. The first thing on the agenda is always time for, I'd like to say, one member of the board won't be here tonight. Paul Dreyer has had another commitment that he really needed to go to, so he won't be here. We will be voting. We have enough people to vote. So public comment, anyone who wants to speak on a subject that's not on the agenda, now is the time to do that. If you're going to speak either now or later, please come to the microphone. That microphone is because of FCTV. It's not really a microphone to make us hear you better. It's for the people at home. So that you need to go there, say your name, and say what issue you're going to speak on if you're going to speak. So anyone who wants to comment for public comment tonight? No. In that case, we'll move on to the agenda. Our assistant town planner is here tonight to assist us, which will be very good, very experienced person. And Jed Cornock will not. He is at the other board that the planning department takes care of and supports the historical commission. So first on the agenda, we have a partial covenant release on Lot B, Dexter Mill Road. Who is speaking on that? Hi.
Good evening. I'm Attorney Catherine Bean, and I'm just here to request the covenant release.
Okay, could you name the property and tell us what the impact of that release will be?
Sure. It's Parcel B in Dexter's Mills. It is a actual open space parcel that's being conveyed. It's got tennis courts on it, and it looks like it was just not released from the original covenant.
Okay, it's my understanding, though, that they have carried out all the terms of the covenant?
Correct.
And that the other properties have already been released and been built on?
Correct.
And that this property is now going to stay as it is now, a tennis court?
Correct.
Right. So, any questions for the attorney? Comments? Could we have a motion to approve a covenant release?
So move.
A second?
Second.
Any comments?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, next we have
Thank you.
Mr. Clower coming up. The applicant is Mary Ellen Santos Donald. Alan Clower is representing her for a site plan review application to construct an accessory apartment at 124 Ambleside Drive, which is more or less on Green Pond. Is that right?
No.
No.
No, where is it?
It's about as far away from Green Pond as you can get.
It is,
West Falmouth?
Craigie Ridge.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, you're right, all right, it's over there. Kevin.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Clower. I'm an attorney with Ahmed Clower Law Firm here in Falmouth, and I'm here tonight representing the applicants, Mary Ellen Santos Donald and Malcolm Donald. They're applying for site plan review for an accessory apartment within a single-family structure. So this is the only approval they'll need for this application. 124 Ambleside Drive is located in West Falmouth, Craigie Ridge neighborhood. The lot is 25,560 square feet, so it's a well-sized lot. It's zoned residential B. And there's currently a single-family home with 5 bedrooms on the property. We are requesting site plan approval in order to create an addition above the garage, which will be an accessory dwelling unit pursuant to 240-23I. This proposed unit will be accessed by 2 means. There'll be an exterior stairwell added, as well as an interior stairwell from the garage. The applicant did recently install a new Title V system, which was indicated in your Board of Health referral. That system allowed for 5 bedrooms, and they proposed eliminating one of the existing bedrooms on the 2nd floor. They'll be converting it to office space, which you can see here, which has been reviewed and approved by the Board of Health. That will have a 4-foot cased opening, so will no longer count as a bedroom, and that bedroom will be relocated to the accessory apartment. This does meet all the requirements for an accessory apartment. The lot is more than 7,500 square feet. The principal dwelling is owner occupied. There's only one proposed bedroom in the ADU where up to two are allowed. The ADU is 728 square feet, which is only 31% of the principal structure. The bylaw allows for up to 800 square feet or 40% of the principal structure, whichever is less. And though this is in a coastal pond overlay district, it is currently a 5-bedroom home and will be remaining a 5-bedroom home, which is allowed within that provision as well. And I believe, just looking at the proposed building, which, of course, do I have the exterior here? I don't have the exteriors here, but I bet you they're right here. I believe, just looking at this proposed building, this does meet all the design review guidelines that are set forth by this planning board. I think it's done in an unobtrusive manner. The ridge line isn't changing. Looking at this, it still has the appearance of a single-family home, which is the intent.
Right. Yes, and Paul isn't here to do that. Could you do that, Pat?
Yep. Okay. Let's see, the Town of Falmouth Planning Board public meeting notice for this applicant at 124 Ambleside Drive was issued Tuesday, November 1st. Yeah, what? Now, wait a minute.
The publishing dates.
Where are they? Oh, there's a publishing date here, October 14th, 2022. It's been a long time since I've done this.
And then
10 abutters were notified by regular mail.
Okay, is there any comment that the planning department wishes to make? You reviewed this, Melinda.
all looks good.
Yeah, it seems to be foursquare. Are there any abutters here who would like to speak to it?
No, just one question.
And board questions. Bob?
What about parking? Looking at the photograph, you have a 2-car garage. I assume that's going to be for the main dwelling?
Yeah, I
and
think
then-
the staff report actually did some work for us, which I thought was very nice of them. But they showed 4 outside parking spaces in addition to the 2 interior parking spaces that are on the site. So there's not going to be any issue fitting parking on this site.
Okay.
Any further questions? Comments? No, it's really exactly what was envisioned passing the bylaw, and it looks really good. So if we could request a positive motion for our
So
next
moved.
meeting.
Positive motion.
Second.
And a second?
Yeah.
We'll vote on it next time when we get it.
Yeah.
And that'll be the 22nd, Ms. Harris?
I believe so.
We'll talk about that later. It might be the 29th, but we're going to discuss that.
The date is uncertain apparently, for reasons I don't know yet.
Yep.
The 22nd is my mother's birthday, so I suspect
Oh.
that's why.
I'm not going to comment on that.
You're not going to be here.
And I won't be here.
So there are a lot of reasons that,
Yeah.
I do have one
right,
comment.
There's a holiday.
I've never seen such detailed report for an unbelievable job.
Yeah, it is, and it's a
Terrific.
good-looking project. Yeah,
Unbelievable, great.
nicely done. Okay, I think we're all set.
so we'd have to let them know what.
We'll have to let them know the date when we
Melinda
know the
can
date.
shoot me an email and let me know what the next
Yeah.
hearing date will be.
Right, we won't keep the secret.
Appreciate that. For lots of reasons. But thank you.
Okay, then we're closing the hearing on that, and we will get a motion on it for the next time. The next thing on our agenda is planning board discussion. We're going to discuss the Blue Moon Sea Grill, and we're going to hear about plans for a site visit. Could we do the site visit issue first? Do you have a suggested date? Is it?
So I was thinking, so as a consensus first, Jed and I wanted to make sure that you wanted to get together as a group and not just go individually. Was that correct?
We can.
I could go, I'm very familiar with the site. I've walked every inch of it, I've been to all the buildings, this is where I work downtown, I know every
Right.
inch of it. But I'll come to the meeting with everybody else, I'm right next door. So
Yeah,
just let me
great.
know when you'll be there, I'll walk right over.
Okay. So we were thinking, So we have until December 13th, so we have a lot of time till we have the next meeting. So I was thinking probably before Thanksgiving, but maybe a Friday lunchtime, noon, if that works for everyone.
Yeah.
It gets dark early, so we can't do it before a planning board meeting
Yep.
anymore. So if you are available on a Friday, either November 4th or 11th,
Either one is fine with me.
actually not November 4th, because I'd have to, not this Friday, because I have to advertise.
Yeah.
So either November 11th or November 18th.
Any preferences?
I can't do it for the 11th.
They can't,
Can everyone else do it for the 18th?
Yeah.
As far as I know.
I can.
So noon on November 18th,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I will send a reminder to everyone.
Yeah.
Good.
You're providing lunch?
Okay, and we were going to discuss the parking issue. ZBA, they went to the ZBA and have discussed it, but we didn't hear what was said there. But the question is whether or not we want, it's not up to us, whether or not we want to have an opinion on it that we would convey to the ZBA, that we've thought about it, and this is our thought on the parking issue. Any thoughts on it? Anyone?
So they're asking for a complete 100% reduction of parking. That's what the.
Well, the plan is to provide no parking whatsoever
Correct.
and to add 154 seats.
I think it's 120, but if they didn't put the deck, they would get a waiver. They
Yeah.
wouldn't need to be providing any parking. It's because they're over the 60% lot coverage with the deck.
Any thoughts on parking?
I have thoughts, but I don't know whether they can be,
I have a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
B1 zoning,
Yeah,
downtown, there's plenty of places up and down Main Street that don't provide any parking at all. It's just a question of whether we want to have this facility there or not.
okay.
But parking down, they have a huge parking lot right in front of them, another one just across the street, another one a little bit further away. That's why B1 zoning is there. And really, the issue is the extra square footage they're using on coverage. And that's, a deck does count as building, and that's really the issue, but
Yeah.
it's seasonal. I think it'd be great to have it downtown, so.
So do you want to weigh in and make a comment to the zoning board of appeals or not weigh in at all?
I just wanted to share with my other
Yeah.
members, so that's all.
I mean, that's what we're trying to just figure out though.
Okay.
I'm not like,
It'd be up to the entire board. They may not agree with me. I just want to make that comment.
Okay, John, do you have any thoughts on it that you want to convey
I think we should.
and let them know?
Well, we do site plan review, so.
Right, do you think it would be part of it?
Otherwise, they're gonna make the decision anyway, but
No, but it'd be good to let them know that we've thought it through, that we realize chances are, if we approve the deck, it's going to be a lot of extra need for parking, there's competition for spaces now, and let them know how we feel about it. So Jim has said how he feels.
I feel the same way. It's a seasonal parking problem,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe 10 weeks out of the year, it's an issue. If there isn't enough parking for their employees and their guests, the restaurant won't make it.
Windfall has said the employees can park in their parking lot.
Well, that I don't want to comment on, really.
Yeah, that's
Windfall?
something. Yeah.
That's a long ways away.
yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm just adding this piece of information.
That's why I would prefer not to comment on that part.
Right.
Well, that's because there's a huge parking lot next to the Windfall. They have all that extra parking. I
Exactly.
understand, yeah.
So, Bob?
I'm not that concerned about the parking. My concern is about the trash removal and an extra dumpster and that space behind it. And
well, we'll deal with that with the site plan
Right, and
review.
that's-
So, yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's. a
Well, I think
different
that's
issue.
more
I'm
important,
going to
too.
wait
Right.
until
Okay.
then.
I agree.
Okay, Pam?
I feel the same way. I mean, I
You
want to
do?
see what the, yeah.
And Pat?
I have a problem with when, I mean, it's a kind of a hypothetical question. When does the lack of parking become a deterrent to people using Main Street restaurants? Because it's a huge problem right now. in that time of year.
Mhm.
So when do people decide it's just not worth the hassle?
We don't know the answer to that.
No, we don't. You'd almost have to have the survey that Jed is
Well, that's what
talking
Jed is
about.
asking for, to have some sort of a survey. My own reaction to it was that we heard from the Chamber of Commerce, and that is the organization that represents the business people on Main Street and business people all over town, but Main Street predominantly, and they are in support of this. And I'm impressed by that. Their members will be the ones also competing for the parking spaces. They probably have a better handle on it I know they have a better handle on it than I do, about whether or not it's going to be too much of a burden they don't want to deal with. So I am persuaded by them that it would be okay to go ahead with this particular one. Your question's unanswerable right now.
It is.
If
but-
we were to say we want to do data collection on that, apparently that type of a survey is possible to be done, but it takes a while. And we wouldn't have the information until Blue Moon, the
Oh,
leasee,
yeah.
would miss a season.
Now, it'd be too long.
Yeah.
I understand that. But the chamber also would like to see some kind of a parking garage created.
That's a different issue.
Exactly.
This
But
does
they
not tie
recognize
to
that
it.
there's a problem with parking, so.
Right, true.
Schools and shuttles.
Mhm.
You know, we have the answer, it's simple, it's something that other towns do all the time, and we keep backing away from it.
Keep putting it off, right.
I think there's going to be something that sort of tips the balance and going to sort of cause us to think of a shuttle service of some sort,
That's
Where-
what Bob's saying.
where you get picked up,
Yeah.
dropped off.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's coming.
Madam Chairman, I should disclose, I have a 2,000 square foot business about 200 feet away from this location, and I have 0 parking for my business, because that's the way the zoning is. And we have a much greater lot coverage ratio than this that they're talking about, but we're pre-existing non-conforming, because that's the way we built a long time ago downtown.
Yeah.
So I don't know our coverage ratio, but we couldn't comply, and we have 0 parking for customers. We just couldn't handle it.
Well, and you rely on foot traffic. so
And we rely on foot traffic,
The more
yeah.
the merrier, a lot of the stores feel that way.
Believe me, we could use more as far as I'm concerned, being a downtown businessman. I would love to see bigger crowds.
And any time we've come down for some function at night or during the day, Mullen Hall, we've always found a spot there. I
You
mean,
know, I don't if you
mean,
can't find a parking
yeah.
space, go to a restaurant further out. There's plenty of restaurants with parking.
But not once has Mullen Hall ever been that jammed that we couldn't find a parking
Right.
space. You know, whether it's the Christmas parade or whether it's the jazz walk or whatever, we've always been able to
Would it be
find
fair to
space.
summarize then, that this board is in favor of advising the ZBA that we would be in favor of the parking exemption that they are requesting? Is that okay?
Yes.
But I still think we want to look at the trash and
Yeah,
other issues.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
The
different.
different
Yeah.
issues,
We're
right?
still looking at
Yeah.
that.
Issue.
We're not
That's a
waiving everything.
sanitation issue.
Okay, I don't think we need a vote on it, but could you write up something and convey it to them, that
Yeah.
that's the sense of the
Yeah,
board?
I'll have you look at it before I send it to them, but.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. All right, next we have general correspondence. Is there any? No, I don't think so.
You
There is
skipped
not.
over a bunch. Anybody have committee reports or planning
Oh,
department
committee
special
report, I
projects?
suppose with Paul gone there. Any committee reports that we don't know about?
Well, I'll just mention that the Affordable Housing Committee is working on a date to do another large public meeting to talk about the issues of affordable housing. Don't have a firm date yet.
Good to hear. Any other committee information? Okay. Planning Department projects update. That's a very interesting thing. And it's quite the list, and I think that we really ought to look at that, or at least hand it out and have people be thinking about it to comment on at our next meeting, because I don't see it here in our books.
It's in the last.
Maybe in the
Yeah.
last pocket.
What did I already?
Way
Yeah,
in back. Oh,
You don't have it?
No, so I didn't think anyone had it.
Special projects update?
Yeah, this is all the work currently in front of the planning department. And I had a look at it today and was very pleased to see that my pet projects are definitely on the list. So you might want to look to see how yours are doing. But I'm also impressed with the number of projects that are ongoing and about their scheduling and how that's going to be managed. You have a chance to take a look at it? Begins with with Mr. Cod, which, as you know, we are working on and hear about. The Open Space Recreation Plan update, there's a meeting on that coming up very soon, I think on the 9th. Is it the 9th?
Thursday, the third, is it? This Thursday. It's the 3rd.
The 3rd, it's this week.
It's Zoom, yep.
Yeah. An Emerald Properties project that I am not familiar with. The zoning bylaw recodification that is going to town meeting next week. It will be at the precinct meetings this week and next week, and then to town meeting, and we're hoping that that will put Phase 1, finalize that, and we can move on to Phase 2. The Shivricks Pond Improvements Project, which has been going along, and this is saying that 75% design plans for viewing and fish platform, they're received, they're working on it. I don't know, how many of you have noticed all the work that's gone on down there? Yeah, I think they could have done more vista pruning. But Vicki Lowell, it's a project very dear to her heart, and she looks at it, and she too wishes there was more, but it's the amount that the Conservation Committee allowed. So they worked together, this is the best they could do, by trying to make that a more visible amenity, really, for the town. And just making it look good will attract more people to go to parking at the schools, I would think. So Shivricks Pond is coming along, and I'm sure Paul is pleased with it. The Edward Marks Building, that's been held up, and will be going on for exterior work, and I don't think they've settled on their plan for how they're going to use the second floor yet. No, that's, design guidelines, you'll recall we began on that 2 years ago. Pat and I worked on it. We modified what, was it South Yarmouth? Had worked with the Cape Cod Commission.
Chatham.
Orleans.
Orleans,
Okay.
but it was one part, anyhow, their design guidelines that they worked on with the Cape Cod Commission, we modified and simplified, and then wanted it to be illustrated for us by the Cape Cod Commission, and we are still waiting. And the staff tries to goose them along at times. We have not really begun on the local comprehensive plan update, and that probably will get going this winter, very definitely. And people, you need, each of us need to be thinking if you might want to be working on some or all of that. Pat, I don't know if you're up for another round?
I don't know either.
Oh, okay, so everybody, and Bob?
Yeah, I said I would.
Yeah. So Bob for sure, Pat's, I bet.
I think Paul would like to get involved in
And
that.
Paul?
Oh, would he?
I mean, he wanted to get involved in the
Yeah.
first time, I think, so.
I could
Remember, he
step
kept
back.
asking if he
Yeah.
could join, and we kept telling him no,
Only
there would be a
three.
quorum.
Yep.
So we'll see.
All we would have to do to have more of us participate is make them public meetings. Right, I mean, that's not hard to do.
Yeah, well,
It's hard for the staff to keep posting
We
them.
used to do that
Yeah, but
when
it,
Corey was here.
so we
Yeah.
can have more.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be only 3. And for different components of it, different ones among us
Well,
might
that's
be
what we did.
interested.
We
Yeah.
moved in and out, so.
Right.
Right.
And I think probably the town staff might be more involved this time, so that they might originate drafts of things appropriate to their areas of work, and then there's a better chance of things being implemented as planned. And a downtown wayfinding plan, where is that? Is that active at all?
It's at the very beginning stages.
Ah, who in your office is working?
Jet.
Jed himself. Okay. Davis Straits Form-Based Code, Jim,
Haven't had any meetings on it in months.
right, what became of it?
I think Mr. Cod kind of took most of the emphasis out of getting the housing in the downtown area, and we haven't had a meeting or discussion on it.
Yep, so
Many months.
Jed wants to provide a memo that outlines the integrating the two, form-based code and Mr. Cod.
Okay, so will we see that later in the fall after town meetings, or?
I can tell him that you'd like it then. I don't know when we'll see
No,
it.
I guess what we need is a work schedule, to have some sense of,
Yep.
rather than the sense that we just sort of randomly nag,
Yep,
which isn't very effective.
I just comment that a really good design review in Mr. Cod could accomplish pretty much the same thing.
It could.
So, I mean, we're really talking about semantics here at this point. You don't agree?
I don't agree, because design review until we can put some teeth in it.
Right. That's what I said, though. A really good design review could
You gotta
accomplish.
put teeth in,
With-
okay?
Right.
Because it could be a
Correct.
really
Form-based
good-
code is code, it's law, and design review is recommendation.
Right,
That's the
Okay,
big
that's a key
difference.
point.
right.
Yeah.
That is a very key point.
And at that point, yes, I would agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile to hang on to form-based code. They'll come together, but
Yeah.
in order to have it in any way enforceable,
Well, I can tell you, if the selectmen kill the project we get going now, there's really not going to be interest on my part in working on anything with form-based code. They seem to be hell-bent on what they want is what they want. So we'll see what they do.
it would be discouraging for that to happen, but let's
After all
not,
these years, it sure would be.
let's not plan on the worst. And then subdivision rules and regulations update. What is this?
so we were, so the board was working on that when Tom was still here,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of just stopped. So Jed wants to go back, he's looking at the old meetings, and just see where it was left off, and then continue on if need be.
Okay, so I would think that the next step with this list is prioritize and schedule. Right, and as realistic a schedule as possible, so that we're not just, throwing darts over there, which doesn't feel good. Yeah,
This is an awful lot to accomplish.
It's a
when you're
huge
looking at
amount.
this huge list.
yeah, and it's stuff that's been backed up for a long time, but we need to get it moving. And it will. Okay, do we have items for our next meeting? For our next agenda?
No. So the only thing is the next meeting. So Jed and I were discussing, because we don't have another meeting until December 13th, and because of the holiday of Thanksgiving, and I think you're not gonna be here, and we thought maybe pushing this one back a week to November 29th rather than November 22nd would be just a little bit better, spaced out a little bit more. Because we can only have, I believe, one in December, because December 6th, that Tuesday, is a historic meeting. We try not to have them both on the same night unless it has to happen. And then December 13th, we're meeting, and then December 20th, it's Christmas time.
Right.
So that's why we wanted to just push this back a little, see if anything else comes in, that might be able to be put on that agenda, and then we'll have the December 13th. But everyone has to be okay with that.
Is everyone okay?
Okay.
Okay, so our next meeting then is November 29th. Agenda items are whatever comes in the door between now and then.
Yep.
Things I saw up on the whiteboard. So, is there any other business we need to conduct?
Were there any announcements?
Are there any announcements? No? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
I.
All right.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.